May I have your attention, please? The Donald Kent art show is about to begin, sir. Please quiet your cell phones and take a seat. So here we are once again. Once again. So I'm gonna put some music on actually in a second here. I did send out an invitation link to members of the White Art Collective, the core members, my old friends. Uh, if somebody's free and they'd like to join the chat or join me live to chat, then we might get some visitors. Should be fun. So, grab some tunes on here. Okay. What music shall we have today? I was actually thinking of some classical. Something about wintertime and classical music that go together. Don't ask me why. I think I might have a. I think I might know why. I'm gonna tell you a little story with that. Hold on. Mm, mm. So when I was in high school, I'm sure it's gonna blast me with a commercial first, but so I can tell a story about this friendship that I had. Um, it was one of these really important formative relationships that you get into when you're a young budding artist, poet, philosopher, goofball. And okay, music's almost on here. Hang on. Okay, there it is. Claude Debussy. Mm. So I was being an artist. I was really, really bad at math, and I had to stay after school for math tutoring, which sucked. As you can only imagine, it's like it was just torture. I hated it. It was just one of these things that the system does to young artists to, punish them for not being able to think in these terms. The education system doesn't still doesn't know how to handle, how to properly educate creative people. Um it'll probably always be like that. I don't know. Anyway, there was a girl a couple blocks over that had to take the same course as me. She was in my class, but she was just a girl that lived on my bus route, and I didn't know her. She seemed painfully shy, and so I just didn't really have any interest in her. And we had to take the bus home, every whatever day, of the week that we had to take the stupid tutoring course. And just inevitably, you're gonna just talk and start, like, oh gee, that sucked, and just blah blah blah, just banter while you're riding home on the bus. And so inevitably we kind of got to know each other, and we discovered that we both really 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 love poetry. She's super super into poetry. I'm into poetry. I had been writing poetry. I actually was like the one of the main editors for the school poetry paper. Lavender's channel is here. Welcome, Lavender, with a little bit of Russian text there. Uh, Lots of love for the Russian people. Um, May you get revenge on the Bolsheviks someday. But anyway, so continuing with my story. Um, so she brought some of her poetry, and I brought some of mine. And, she would talk about her favorite poet and recommend certain books. And it just kind of went back and forth. Michael Bush is here. Welcome, Michael. I'll give you kind of since we got some new folks here, I'll give you a quick little introduction to myself and my channel. This is my book, Imperium Calling, The Art and Poetry of Donald Kent. Ironically, I was just talking about poetry. And here's a little bit of my poetry right here. Become Who You Are. I do fine art. I do comic book illustration, portraiture, um, graphic design, web design. I'm an art teacher. I'm a singer-songwriter, poet, kung fu teacher, political activist. What else can I can I make a damn good cup of coffee? I started to continue on art. Excellent. What kind of art do you do, Michael? Um, I love, and currently what I'm working on is this. It's called Militia Man. So I will be inking the Militia Man comic book today. And there you go. And now you know. So, and then I just kind of chat and talk to people in the chat and tell stories and pontificate and philosophize as the hour goes by. And occasionally I want to speak in an English accent because I find it very enjoyable. Yeah. Anyway, so, mm, my new friend and our mutual love of poetry is blossoming friendship. And, later down the road, pardon me, I discovered that she had like romantic feelings for me, and I never reciprocated those feelings. But it was a kind of a dynamic there. But for me, it was more about meeting someone who understood the artist in me and allowed me to be that person and respected and loved and enjoyed that person. And so, you know, in the sort of, small town suburban America of the time I grew up, that was not easy to find. So it was very meaningful to me. It's kind of a desert out there. So let's see. Michael says he does watercolor and acrylic. Very, very good. Christian Bridges is here. Hello, hello. I like the little symbols you have there. Very interesting. Just a quick hello to uh, Christian Bridges. This is my book here, Imperium Calling. You guys can, if you go to the homepage of this YouTube, you'll see my website link that goes directly to the book. You can see more about that. But for now, I'm just going to keep doing my comic book inking. And I'm on like page 55 of this story. Blah, blah, blah. So, what else can I say? So she really, this friend of mine, she had a huge impact on my early development as a poet, and the poetry later became songwriting. I write music. You can look around this channel and you'll see the different songs that I have published on here. um, I don't know what it is about poetry, and like, when I was, how old was I when I was doing that? Oh boy, 15, 16, 17, 18, like in that area there. Um I'll tell you that, a lot of people on my channel are aware of this, that at that time in my life my father was very sick, and I was very very scared. It was a really very scary time for me. He ended up passing away 1 month before I graduated high school. It was very, very tragic, extremely painful experience. And so all that fear and agony, anxiousness, everything just exploded. after that. Interesting thing is that the friend who I'm referring to, we both went to the same college after high school as well. And, there was a dormitory for art students, and she and I were in the same dormitory. So our friendship continued and grew deeper. I think then we started to kind of, you know, blur the line of, friends and lovers and that kind of thing. Um, she unfortunately was a very, very, oh boy, mentally unstable person. Or I guess, I'm not saying that in like a mean way or whatever, but she just had extremely serious mental emotional issues. And like she would have been the perfect person to like transform into the college liberal of today. There we didn't have that at the time, thank God. And so, she never became that. But, you know, it's these kind of women that have very intense emotional issues that make the perfect soldiers for feminism and that kind of garbage, Marxist garbage. So, inevitably, our complex friendship did deteriorate and fall apart. I learned my lesson about, like, she was sort of my first lesson in dealing with crazy women. Um, I didn't learn that lesson well enough apparently later in life, but that was my first taste of that kind of thing. Hello, Eagle Pax Max is here. Hello, Donald Kent. I'm glad to see you are live streaming. Yes, and it's good to see you back, Mr. Eagle. There shall be more live streaming, and you cannot stop me. So shut. Sorry. So yeah, that regardless of the pain and drama, it still is a friendship that I cherish in a way because it had such a vital importance in my growth as a poet, and I mean ultimately as an artist, because music, poetry, drawing, painting, it's all art. They're just different modes of expression. You see what I'm saying? So being around when you're sort of in your 20s, teenage years in your 20s, and you're around other artists, it kind of gives you permission to be who you are. And I know that probably sounds a little weird, but when you're at that age, you don't quite have maybe the confidence that you do as you get older. So it's important. It's an important thing. And that's not to say that we didn't have like tons of laughs and really great times and stuff. We every Christmas we would prepare like a little packet of poetry for each other. We would make gifts of poetry where we'd write like, I don't know, several poems and then put it in like an envelope, and we would give that to each other for Christmas. It was a really charming, and I still have some of those. That's some of the best poetry I ever wrote. Even though I was young, I have a kind of an old soul in a way, I guess, and I was able to convey some very complex feelings and ideas and at the time the idea of like writing poetry in an experimental way was exciting too. There was this feeling of like, how can I break apart syntax and how can I change the pace of this in such a way that it's interesting and exciting, and then let it work in such a way as to push the narrative, or make the just make the meaning more interesting and more impactful. Because it's sort of like poetry in my view anyway, is something that is directly from the spirit, and it shouldn't be, I don't know, it's a very tricky thing because you've got, the rules of language, that you kind of have to work within. And poetry a lot of times has that, rhyming and all that kind of that structure to it. Um, but mine was a little more jazzy in the sense, I don't, maybe jazzy is a cheesy way to put it, but in the sense that I would break the rhythm, I would break the meter, and by having awkward rhythm in the reading of it, in the writing of it, it would punctuate and accentuate certain ideas and feelings, certain visuals. Because as you can imagine, my poetry is very visual. Me being a visual artist. Um, so I really do cherish those memories, even though I kind of suffered a lot with her. Um, I mean, if she were able to just simply say like, "I love you," and I have these feelings for you or something, it probably would have been a lot less complex than her playing like red light, green light mind games with me. And I'm young at the time. I was naive, very naive, and I might still be naive, and I'm sure I am in some ways. Um, I didn't get it. I couldn't. You know, Typical male, just like, what do you want? That kind of thing. Anyway, I at some point I remember like she called me and she says like, you haven't called me in a long time. Like, why are you avoiding me? That's a heck of a thing that, it feels is an uncomfortable phone call. And so I was like, well, because every time we talk, you'll take what I say and you twist it into something I didn't say, and then you get really angry about it, and then you create an even like another thing off of that, and then you just snowball into this like insanity of yelling at me about things that you completely imagined. And she was like totally shocked at that, like completely, like, what in the hell are you like, I do that, like really really upset. And then she started right in on that pattern of, of like, I don't know, maybe taking something she misunderstood from the past that we had worked out, months ago, and then dredging it back up and then warping it into something else and tagging it onto this other thing and weaving it into a new problem, and just getting more and more and more and more upset about it. Like that. And then I just said, see, you just did it. You just did it. And I said this to you, and you said this back to me, and then I tried to say no, and then you changed it, and then you changed it and changed it. No, 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 no. And look, here it is. This is why I've stopped calling you. And man, that hit her like a freaking truck. It hit her hard because she was like, "You're right. You're right. I did. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I am doing this." And then she shaved her head. The end. So that's my story. Because there's nothing better than, you know the perceived idea that I'm punishing men by shaving my head. If I shave my head and turn myself into an ugly, undesirable creature, then that's my revenge on you. Which is like right in keeping with this and the whole mentality of this wackadoo. Let me read some of these comments here. Let's see. Interesting story. Splatter Cat's here. Hey, buddy. Mr. Bush says, women will never love you. They love their ego too much. Whoa. Powerful words. I am, I really don't want that to be true. And I do know some very lovely women, but it's really hard to fight the truth of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very hard. Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking the other day, a buddy of mine, he he beat cancer recently. He had some surgery, and it was very, very hard. And he's alive. And it just occurred to me, like, what if I had to go to his funeral? And I just immediately started tearing up. I just whoa, this emotion. I'm like, I just started crying, not cry, haha, but like, just, like, holy shit, that's the emotion just gushed out. And I thought, like, would any woman ever cry like that over me or care enough about me that way? You know, Michael says, narcissist tennis match that you can never win. Exactly. Britney Spears. Yeah. Britney Spears. That's a rough one right there. Um, so there you go. Um, what more can I say about it? But I mean, I kind of, regardless of that, there's still something kind of epic about her. Like, I don't know if you guys know who Camille Claudel is, or Camille Claudel was the lover of the French sculptor Rodin, and she was arguably as talented as Rodin, but because she was a woman, and in the age and the feminism and the blah, 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 blah. So whatever, she didn't get as much credit as he did, and something. But anyway, she there was a movie made about her, very good movie. Um, but she was just a like emotional basket case, like all over the place. But at the same time, like exceptional artist. So this is kind of the same story here with this girl. She's a truly gifted poet. Um, I wish her well. I don't have any. I mean, that is really quite a long time ago, but I don't have any malice. At the same time, though, men have to learn how to spot these kinds of women and stay away from them. I think that's one of the most important lessons a man can have in life is to know how to read women. You know what I'm saying? This is a huge, huge, huge thing. All right, so let's back up on this image here. This is what you call a two-page spread, and it's not finished, but you can kind of see. I still have to draw a character in here. It's this dude that shoots the laser eye blasts at Militiaman. Over there, stay away from the bald women. That's easy. Yeah. A beautiful plus bald equals crazy. Although she wasn't really beautiful. I don't mean that she was ugly, but she wasn't like supermodel. She was. If you guys ever saw, here's a perfect example. Did you guys see Breakfast Club? Okay, well, do you remember the quirky, weird kind of emo girl in that movie? That's the girl. Same girl. You know what I'm saying? She, has her hair like over her face all the time. She's always wearing like big black sweaters, and it's just you know kind of down all the time and quiet, and But anyway, whatever. That's the end of that story. There's more to the story, but that's the key, or that's the bulk of it. It's time for me to get back to some artwork here. Let's take a look. I love this page. I'm just gonna oogle over this page for a second. This is so freaking cool. This part right here is because these two guys are like friends, best friends that split over political differences, and then later in the story they reunite because Militiaman finally realizes that Westgard is right. The Westgard is like a kind of a very far right guy. Allison Reynolds, is that the actress? Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I've done it again. This is that, like, when I don't kind of have all my ducks in a row, and I go live and then I realize I should have been more organized, but it's okay. It's gonna be okay. Um, Michael, if you could tell me a little more about your watercolor stuff that you do, I'm interested in that. I did watercolor for many years, but mine was primarily uh, Oriental painting, Asian art, traditional Asian landscape painting. Mm, I did wet my whistle there. All right. Um, Picking the right tool for the job. Here we are. Um, it's kind of hot in here. I gotta turn the heat down. Hang tight. Um, yeah, wait. Sorry, guys. Hang tight. I'll be right with you. Talk amongst yourselves. I don't know what it is about me, but I'm really sensitive to like heat. Like I would never survive in a tropical country. Although I lived in Taiwan for 4 years, but I find it very uncomfortable. I'd rather be a little cold than too warm. Is the music too loud? Is it annoying? All right, so let's move on here. This is some. Oh, and of course I picked a dry one. Gotta get some new markers. Mm. So Michael has replied, and a second here. Says, I do what attracts me. I did one of a wolf and a moon in the background, and I recently finished a copy of Thomas Kincaid painting in acrylics of the bridge. The other one is of an African marriage, her dressed in her cultural clothing. Nice, very nice. Did you go to school for art? Are you self taught? Um, and we got another dry marker that I can't use. It's like being on stage and then your props don't work. It sort of sucks. I mean, even though this is a casual stream, I do like things to go smoothly. Um, yeah, it's time to go to the art supply store. Jeez, it's like the third one. I'm running out. Not good. Okay. So, stories. Many, many stories. College days, man. I mean it's an interesting sort of a bittersweet time because my dad had just passed away and I was, out of my mind, like intensely depressed as you can imagine. But simultaneously it was that sort of golden era of like, becoming a man, where you're at college. I lived in the dorms. It was very exciting. A neat story is that I you get your dorm assignment, and my mom drove me in with my suitcase or whatever, my the things that I had to move into my dorm with, and you don't know who you're gonna get as a roommate because there's two people in a room, and I've got my bass guitar. At the time, I had long hair, and I had just kind of had some kind of cool shirt on or something, and then I come to the door, and the door's open, and there's a dude sitting inside with like an acoustic guitar, and he's got like Jimi Hendrix style hair. And we both look at each other and we're like, jackpot, All right, I got a good roommate for college. Yay, We just knew immediately like we're cut from the same cloth, you know what I'm saying? And so it was just really funny. He and I are still in touch. We're still buddies. Just gotta go down. I'm sorry. Um, granted, we've grown in different directions. He's like a California liberal now, you know. Um, so it's not, you can kind of fill in the blanks on that. Like, how do you talk to somebody like that? Let's see. Michael says a lot of golden jewelry, so I started doing the glittery acrylic, which was fun. Yeah, I like that stuff. I've used it before. Yeah, I feel like I'm a double major in art because I studied a while in the arts. Also into computing in my career as well. Das ist gut, ja. Do you use WordPress? Do you have any? I just started learning WordPress. Um, I'm using it on a job, and I'm going to be using it to create my own. Um, I'm going to create a new website for myself, like a WordPress website. It's not, it seems pretty intuitive. It's not like I've done other like WYSIWYG kind of websites, just drag and drop type stuff. So it seems like a more advanced version of that. It looks good. There's a ton of plugins and whatnot. Um. Anyway, so back to college. So big man on campus. I'm an art major, and I got my portfolio, and I'm cruising around like, yeah, I'm an art major. Step back, and I've always been like one of these, you know, I love women. So like, in college is just like, there's just gorgeous women everywhere. So for me there was a whole that's a whole other thing. And I'm just like, wow, every 10 steps, wow, and this and that. So, and then new friends, and you go into class, and then you kind of getting to know the other students in the art department, and you're all kind of getting to know each other, and then the teachers are pretty eccentric, to be honest. um the woman that was like the chair of the department, and my uh kind of career counselor, if you will. um she was the child of two psychiatrists, and so she was really, really screwed up. She was like a real mind bender. She would play mind games with the students terribly, and it was and again, you're like, you're this 18 and a half, 19-year-old kid, coming out of the suburbs into the city, and you got your dreams of being, an artist, and you know you're in the college system, and then the first person you encounter is this high powered psychoanalysis woman, who's like, I wouldn't really say she was a feminist though, which thank God she wasn't, because I did have a feminist teacher. I took some design courses, so the fine art and the design departments were kind of like, you know rival football teams in a way, and different sensibilities, whatever. Right, and the the head of that department was this lesbian dyke, and she she did some very weird, creepy things to me that were like, even now I look back and I'm like, what the hell did that mean? Like, what, like stuff in front of class and even threatening me with violence and just like, lady, I'm just a college student. I'm just a kid, like I don't know what's going on in your head, but like, don't take it out on me. Yeah. What else can I tell you? There was this Jewish. There were a couple Jewish professors that each had their own thing. The one was really into like abstract expressionism and all art. Like the only legitimate art in the world was abstract art. Everything else was garbage. And if you did anything other than abstract art, you were garbage. And he was a very curmudgeonly, very very curmudgeonly guy. I managed to make him laugh and like, you know I got through the course and whatever. But looking back, it's there's certain insights that you have about people like that, and it's kind of troublesome. But so then I think the like the major story though is that there was a professor who he was, how do I say this? He was like the big dog in the whole school because he got discovered. He was in the metropolitan, not the metropolitan. Shoot, what's the name of that museum? The MoMA, I think it's called. Yeah, the MoMA in New York City. It's the Museum of Modern Art, and so he got in there. He's like he's just one of the dudes at a certain time in like art history in the 1980s. And he was kind of part of a certain movement, a certain scene. And so he's got his little page in the history books, let me put it that way. And he was a professor at my school, you know. He was actually in the art education department, not in the fine art department. But as part of my major, I had to take a course from him. So I was pretty like, I mean, starstruck. I was like, oh my God, this guy is like famous. And, you can kind of imagine a young artist, you're thinking like, can he help me? Can this guy get me into some New York galleries or something like that? But, not in a cheesy, using, ugly way. So whatever. I'm in his class, and the very first class of the semester, he's doing a slideshow, and it's one of these like the first day of the semester. It's you're really just fucking off. You give everybody, get these supplies, buy this book, and we'll start the course on Monday or whatever next week. So to kill the time, he's showing you know uh, a slideshow, and he's just going through, this is so and so from this time and period, and they're known for this, and click 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 click, going through the show. And it's kind of entertaining or whatever. And at one point he showed a slide of the painter called Egon Schiele, or Schiele. I don't know if any artists in the audience, you're going to know who Egon Schiele is. He's an Austrian painter. I think he might have been Jewish. Um, he's famous for like very weird and sexualized art that he did. It's very emo, and I think every kind of emotionally damaged art student in history, you know, is gonna see this guy's art and be drawn to it like immediately, as I was. So anyway, he showed a slide of that guy and said, "Oh, this is Gustav Klimt, who was Egon Schiele's teacher, or I don't say teacher, but like mentor in some way. It was like the big successful artist of Vienna at the time, and yada yada." So at the end of the slideshow, and we're kind of about to wrap up class, I said, I raised my hand. Excuse me, professor. On slide 52, You said it was Gustav Klimt, but actually it was Egon Schiele, and he was, like, embarrassed that his student, like, corrected him in front of everybody, and he click, went back to the slide, and sure enough, it was Egon Schiele, and he was like, he was graceful about it. He wasn't, like a douchebag or whatever. But that, like, put me on his radar. And then down the road, I wouldn't say we were friends, but you know how, like, you can become friends with your college professors in a certain way. You're adults, so you can kind of have a sort of a professional friendship, I guess. So at one point he invited me to, he said, Donald, get your best paintings up in the fine art department. Bring them down to my office, this time and place or whatever, and let's have a look at them. Let's have a talk. And I was like, super, like, oh my god, this is amazing. I can't wait. Wow, crazy excited about it. And I'm sorry, I'm just getting another piece out here. Maybe I'll do this one. This could be a fun one to do today or for now. So sure enough, I show him the works. I kind of sit back, and he kind of, it's that long, tense, quiet moment where he's looking at my artwork. Oh, what's he gonna say? Oh, make or break me, kind of thing. And he says, Donald, I don't know what it is that makes an artist, but you've got it. And those words changed my life. Like, they changed my life. I was like, when I got, I kind of, and we went on and talked more and stuff and this and that. And our friendship had continued after I graduated college, bachelor's degree, etc. Um, uh, but I mean, that is the moment. That is the moment every artist needs in their life to get the validation from a really, really important mentor to confirm you are an artist. It's not, because it's like, it's just such a unique thing. It doesn't, it's like, oh, I went through this course and now I'm a doctor, or I went through this training and now I'm a police officer, or I went through this, and now I'm a pilot, or whatever, whatever. But what makes you an artist, though? It's not the courses you take. Hint, hint. You know what I'm saying? It's just the personality type. I think it's kind of how I look at it. Um, Anybody can learn the skills, but if you don't have something to say and a burning need to say it, you're not an artist. You're a craftsman. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with being a craftsman. That's a beautiful thing, and I'm not throwing shade on those folks. But and then also the whole thing of, like, it doesn't have to be a tortured statement. This doesn't. Not all artists are Van Gogh. It's like kind of a very silly notion that is out there. Let's check the chat. There's been a lot of yammering going on here. Let's check it out. Career as well. Uh, Michael says, sound like a teacher I used to have named Mrs. Panfill. Interesting. She's a witch. Yeah, I know the type. Oh, I got to get back to that story. I don't want to say the names of these people, but I'll finish the story in a second. Mr. Channel is here. My channel, bring your best paintings. We shall have high tea and biscuits. Yeah. They talk about topics while consuming comestibles. I don't know what those are, but Oaf says Egon Schiele is half Austrian and half Czech, according to the Wikipedia. Oh, thank you. Okay, Splattercat, if you can elicit an emotional response with your art, then I'd argue that's what makes an artist. That's what makes art. Art and artists, different topics, but clearly related. So, and these are my thoughts. I mean, I'm totally I actually really enjoy like debate and discussion on these kinds of topics. I find them very interesting. So to go back to, um, I'll just tell you one thing. Her last name was Payne, Payne. Think about that, right? The fucking irony of that is like, it's a little too much. Anyway, every semester, because like I was a fine art major, so I was with her for 4 years. Every semester for 4 years. So that's, you know, several classes a semester. You don't just take one class a semester. You got drawing and painting and yada yada. So anyway, she would make it. She would find one person in the class that she decided, I don't like this person, and I'm gonna make them quit. I'm gonna make them quit the fine art department because I don't like them, and or I don't think they're an artist or something like that. And what she would do, and I figured this out after seeing her do it so many times, she would start off by being kind of exceptionally friendly with them and taking a special interest in their paintings. Oh, you're doing so well. You're coming along so well. You're doing really good. Oh, beep, 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 beep. Compliments, compliments. And they start to develop like a chip on their shoulder, like, I'm doing very good in art. My professor says so. She likes me. I'm her favorite student. And then somewhere into mid to late semester, she would have like we would frequently do art critiques in class. This is part of the normal way of running the class. Everybody gets their paintings out. She would go around the room and critique your painting, and have other students critique the paintings as well. So she would, one time she would absolutely destroy this person that she spent all semester building up and developing trust and kind of a loving kindness, mentoring type relationship, and then humiliate them in front of the whole class brutally, brutally. And there's a thing about young 20 something artists, especially girls, who their egos are made out of fucking eggshells. They're made out of glass. And she would just stomp all over it. And like and these people every single time would leave the room crying, like bawling. You got to imagine, like, you're fucking paying a lot of money to go to college. You're paying a lot of fucking money, and the time, the effort, the driving in, the da 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 da. Going to college is not a fucking joke. And then to do this and then make someone quit, not just the department, but art totally, is one of the most vicious, evil things I've ever seen in my life. And the first time I saw it, I was like mortified. I was so like, I was mortified. Everyone in the class was like, holy shit, I can't believe she just did that. But we were all kind of like, step back, don't do that to me. You know what I mean? Like watch what you say around her, like be careful, step back, she's dangerous. And it was very scary, for a lot of us. And if you try to understand, what it's like to try to be an art student, major in art, all that. And me being one of her favorite students and one of the best students in class, it kind of sort of dawned on me like, am I next? You know what I mean? Is this going to be me next semester? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's the fucking score here, lady? And I kind of thought it out like, I'll be damned if I'm fucking quitting this shit. No way, I'm not fucking quitting this. I don't care what you say. You can literally fail me and fuck you. I'm never ever gonna stop. I'm not gonna change. I'm not gonna quit. And that was like one of my early experiences seeing how women are, that the way that they use their power to destroy people that they don't like, profoundly evil. And now, of course, and I don't say all women, okay, but like a certain kind of woman, with a certain kind of psychology. They abuse their power in the worst way. And currently, what that is, it's an anti-white male sort of hierarchy that we're living in. They're they're programmed, through feminism, frankly, through college and da 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 da. And most of you guys know about that. I don't need to do a lecture on that kind of stuff. But fuck, man, that was pretty horrifying. Pretty horrifying. Let me read some comments. If you can't elicit, da, 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 we read that. Love your composition and design. Your detail these really nicely. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Crazy, never experienced that. Right. Power struggle dynamics. Yeah, I gotta grab a little water here. I'm talking so much. I'm parched. I'm still hot. All right. I'm going where I live. The temperatures are dropping pretty bad, so I got the heat up a little, maybe a little too high. Mm. Ah, hydration, so good. So, what's up with you guys? More stories? You want more stories? You're probably gonna get them anyway. So, one thing I kind of figured out is that at the end of that fine art major, the very last class was how to sell your art, and it was a good class, but I realized, like, we're just about to graduate and you're going to dump us out on the street and there's no jobs, So, like, what you should have done is had this as the first class. You know what I mean? And while we were in college, we could have, you know, done things. We could have tried to get out there and get our artwork into a gallery or somewhere, and to actually try to gain some sort of experience selling our work. And but no, so I don't know, man. It's messed up. It's just the world is not made for artists. I mean, I think in, say, Paris, France in 1812 or something it was, but not in America 2025 or whatever. Um, you got Etsy and you got this and you got that. I shouldn't be too cynical. There's a lot online in terms of resources, but there's always this notion that, like, oh, the internet, da, da, da. It doesn't guarantee anything. It doesn't mean you're going to be successful. You still have to do a lot of work. You literally have to be a salesperson. You got to learn sales and marketing. And I was actually just having this conversation with my son about, when you're going into college and you're networking your way through and you're meeting people, da 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 da. Be a creative person, but also, you know, be a businessman too. You know what I mean? Like, treat your relationships in a certain way, and that went right over his head. Not that he didn't understand it, but it was just like boring. Like he's in the mode that I was in at that age, which was just, you know creativity. You just, your whole being is just your feelings. It's part of the age. Let's see. I'll go back after quickly. It was in the news. They must really control weather to predict it like that. Right, right. Catch you later, bud. Pleasure and honor to meet you. And I have a live. I have to go. I'll hope you understand. Be good. See you next time. Hippocratic oath. David Lynch was still sending movie proposals to Netflix and getting shot down. It doesn't matter how good you are. Artists are getting brushed aside. Wow, that's heavy to hear that. I mean, Netflix. That's all you got to say. You know what I mean? Here's a bit of news. I might have already told you guys this. So one of my freelance clients, come to find out, I don't know, we're out with some friends having a beer or something somewhere a while ago, and I find out that he's a TV producer, and he's worked, like, I always see him posting photos on Facebook with him with like movie stars and rappers and famous people of all different kinds. And like, how the hell do you get to meet all these people? Like, what are you doing? Like, what's the deal? And then I come to find out he's a TV producer. The freelance project I worked on was a different business model. I just didn't know that about him. So I'm like, dude, you're kidding me, right? I mean, like, I do comics. I'm all about, like, I want to work. Let's do something for Netflix. Like, I would love to do that. Well, we got to talking and this and that, and he has radically different sensibilities than I do. He's this super rich dude. So these kind of people, they don't suffer. They don't suffer. They don't understand. You know, they don't understand what real suffering is. They're born with and I'm not saying they're bad people, but they're not in touch with, like, the human experience, in terms of what it means to struggle to survive and all these other things. So his ideas are very commercial. You know what I'm saying? Like, this will be popular. I'm like, it's not about being fucking popular, but like, I guess that's how you get to become a TV producer, is by, not having a very deep mind. Did I just say that? Oh my god. Anyway, he's a sweet guy. He's a good guy. I shouldn't say these things. He'll never find this show either, so I'm not worried about that. And maybe one day he will. And if he does, God bless him. But so whatever, we got to talking, and like, here's my idea. I did some sketching for like character designs. And this is another thing, it just like faded away. Like every other rich person that's like, oh, you know, we're gonna do this project and it's gonna be great, and I'm gonna pay you all this money and build you up and build you up and then drop you. It's interesting, the parallels between that and the story I just told you about that psycho art professor. Is this like a feminine thing or something, to make promises and then not keep them? Hmm. That is an interesting theory there. Interesting theory. Wow. Um, I don't really want to do his project. I would just essentially do it for the money and to get my foot in the door at Netflix, so that I could meet people who are on the inside of it, and then say, hey, I got this story. I'm doing this comic book. Blah 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 blah, whatever. But let's just be honest. It's Netflix is the enemy. Okay, they're not gonna do one of my stories. You know what I'm saying? If I don't have really really offensive, degenerate subplots and you know secret messaging that is demoralizing towards straight white men, then you're not part of the club. You're not part of the club. Um, and there you go. And now you know. But back to David Lynch. Oh wait, let's read this. Wing It's here. Hey, buddy. Not a very deep mind. You talking about me? Oh, dude, I would never talk to you like that. And you were not obviously the person I'm referring to. Are are you connected in any way to Netflix? Are you a TV producer? Um, anyway, mm, but it's a game, like you when you if you have a chance to get in some kind of position where you could possibly, you know, go somewhere with your art, take it to another level, then you play the game and you may lose, but you tried. So that's what it is. Okay, Wing says, I wish I were connected to Netflix, just a working class bloke. Yeah, I know. Um, kind of thinking more college stories might be fun, actually. Um, it was a golden age. Oh man, it was such a great time. It was a really good time. Yeah, so many aspects of that. I just met so many different people that played some kind of important role in my creative development. Um, my roommate, who I told you about earlier, dude's got like the Jimi Hendrix fro. He's a white guy, but he has like curly hair and he's wearing his jeans are all made of patches. He's got like John Lennon glasses and he's playing an acoustic guitar with a harmonica or something. And I'm there with my Rickenbacker bass and hair down to my nipples and, torn jeans. And we're like, yeah, let's jam. Um, he's super, super funny guy. Like, just like could easily be like a comedian. Again, I don't say the names of like people that I know in my personal life on the show, but um, what else? So, what happened? So, he was in the media department. It's kind of like radio and TV. I don't know, communications. That's what it's called, communications major. So, and because the school had a communications department, we also had our own radio station. And sure enough, he had a show on there. And lucky me, I got to be on the show like a bunch of times, just for fun. It's like it's college radio, so don't take it too seriously. Um, Still really cool though. Being whatever 19, 20, and being inside like a radio studio and okay, we're going live. You know. So he had a gigantic, like literally a wall of what do you call them? Um, Vinyl of records, and in the dorm where we lived. And I don't know what he did to those eventually, but it was pretty wild. And so the dude had a very, very broad taste in music, and he turned me on to like all kinds of cool stuff. Like I got into jazz quite a lot through him. He showed me what's his name, Tom Waits. We were like went through like a massive Tom Waits phase at one point there. Um, and it's that time where you're like scoping out girls on campus and you're dating and you got your classes and you know it's just so exciting. You're on your own, you're in college. So, you're kind of becoming your own person. You know what I mean? So this just was a great time. Um, let's see what else. Wing It says, "I wish I were connected tonight." Oh, we already read that. Okay. So during college orientation, now you got to remember I was, I'm a musician, and I'd been in bands in high school and stuff, and I was like, man, when I get to college, I'm gonna make the best band, and we're gonna be rock stars. We're gonna get famous. Um, so there was one point where it was actually during orientation, and during orientation, you came in. This is during the summer before you start your first fall classes, and you're given like a room, in the dorms, whatever. So I'm up in this building. I don't know, the seventh floors is way up there, and I'm kind of looking down at the quad, sort of like the area where you know students are coming and going and this and that. And I noticed there's this dude sitting under a tree with this a Gibson SG electric guitar. If you don't know what that is, that's the kind that uh, I forget his name, Angus Young. He uses in ACDC. It's just a badass rock and roll guitar, and he's got really long, shaggy hair, and he's just playing guitar to himself, and enjoying sitting under the tree. And I just got a vibe from this dude. I was like, this guy he's his own person. He's in his own world. You can tell like he doesn't care. He's an artist like me in the sense of like, we sort of don't have a place. We don't know where we fit in quite yet. And we're we kind of get lost in our music and our arts, etc. So I kind of had that guy on my radar for like the band or whatever. And I don't recall what the circumstances were. I saw him somewhere else on campus, and I think I just like blasted him like, "Hey, I saw you playing your guitar. I'm a bass player. What kind of music do you like?" And oh, well, I like King Crimson. I'm like, "Holy shit, I love King Crimson." Oh, really? Wow, cool. I like this. Oh, I love that guy. Oh my god. Talk. And like, just like I knew from because I got a good instinct for these things. I just knew we would become, friends and hit it off, blah blah blah. So next thing you know, we're starting a band, and it's like a prog rock band. It's like nobody likes prog rock, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like you got this. Well, we like it, and we're not going to compromise. So, he's like, "Well, you got to meet this other guy that I know from because the long-haired dude he's a music major, of course, and he's in the music course. There's like a dude who's like a couple of years ahead, so he's more advanced, and he's even way more eccentric, and really into weird like ethnomusicology, and just weird music, so we're like, we gotta hook up with him, man. This would be amazing, and da da da. Da. So sure enough, we get together, we hang out, we're talking, we jam a bit. I share some ideas, this and that, and then we're like, damn, it's on, man. It is freaking on. We got some magic here. So we're like, okay, I'll make an ad, and we'll put it up in the student union because we're gonna find, you know, we need a drummer. Wing It says, "I wish I were." I keep reading the same comment. Sorry. Um. So I'm writing like progressive rock band looking for experimental drummer for experimental rock music. Da da da. And I get a call or something, and then uh, you know, hey, I'm so and so. I saw your ad, and I'd like to try out. Um, Sure. Oh, okay. Tell me this and that and something, something. Talk, talk, talk. All right. I'll meet you in the student union on, Saturday at this location. Something, something. So I go and I'm at the place. It's just like kind of a waiting area, just a bunch of chairs around there, and I'm sitting there and I'm sitting there and nobody's coming in, and I'm like, fuck, damn, is this guy blowing me off, or is this what's going on? I'm kind of sitting, I'm sitting, and I get up and I kind of walk around, and I'm looking for like a dude that looks like a drummer, like someone who essentially looks like me and the other guys in the band. And I walk back to my chair, and there's a black dude sitting there, you know, in one of the chairs behind me. And he kind of turns around and he looks at me, and I look at him, and I say, Rodney. And he's like, yeah, I'm Rodney. I was like, oh, wow. I didn't think there'd be a black dude, that would answer the ad, and he had like, just like his hairstyle and stuff was more like the kind of guy that you would picture into kind of like break beat, break dancing kind of music, like that type of style, And I think he sensed that I was a little awkward. I was like, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Donald, something, something. Yeah, let's, gonna head over to the studio and meet the other guys, and here's the address, blah, 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 and help you set up your drums, this and that." And the same thing, like when he walked in, the other guys were like, "Oh, hi, well, oh wow, surprise." 'Cause it just isn't like, do black people like progressive rock, King Crimson, and weird stuff like that. So he was like, essentially more of an artist in the sense of like, I want to. He said like, I want to expand my experience, with music. I don't want to just play like funk and hip hop or whatever this stuff is. I want to be able to do more. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool thing. Um, so yeah, we started this band, and it was a huge deal for me. I was playing rock star in college and grew my hair even longer. Um, it was funny, like seeing we did like a little photo shoot of the band or whatever, and you get these like three weird long haired white guys, and then this like breakbeat hip hop black dude. Like he's not like hip hop in the like dirty gangster sense, but more in like the kind where you like, I don't know, like the fun dance around kind. I don't know if that's the right way to phrase it, but he was a decent guy. And yeah, we had a good time. We played like house parties and stuff. We played a couple bars. I've got a recording of one of our gigs somewhere. It was all original music. We didn't do any covers. I think we did one cover. We did like a Cramps song. Do you guys know the Cramps? The reason why we did that is because the one of the guitar players like punk rock, so we thought it would be a fun thing to do. A lot of the people that came to our parties and stuff were like into punk and stuff, so it was kind of for that crowd a little bit. So there's a story. There you go, and now you know. Let's see. The head comes around here. Cramps. Dang, that's righteous. Wow. Yeah. Um, I don't know if you know the song "Goo Goo Muck." It's just- again, you're in college, okay? So like, it's fun time. It's punk rock fun time. Um, a lot of it. It's kind of like where alternative music and hippie music and punk rock music all kind of converged. That was the scene. And you had hippies and punks, and we all just kind of partied together and grew up in college together, if you will. So it was what we were doing at the time. Let's see. Know 'em all. Yeah, it's fun. Fun times. I did actually run into the drummer a while back. I was going to see this sort of like a jazz band, and he was playing bass for them. And I was like, "Oh, you're a bass player now, Yeah, this and that. Um, all right, is anybody there? You guys still there? It's kind of a chill stream tonight, I guess. What time is it? 10:16. So we have a weather advisory, but I'm still going to work tomorrow. So I'm risking my life to make money. Yay. Let's see. Hippocratic Oath says, yes, my channel's here. You're not going to the big gay inauguration? It's so funny because it's not even, it's like barely a blip on my radar. I I just can't buy into it, man. I mean, we've had discussions about this on my Telegram channel, and it's more of a. I almost feel like I don't want to say humiliated, but there's a type of agony in watching that because I know how infiltrated we are. I know how like Trump is just totally like a proto Jew. He's just a Shabbos goy, you know, or crypto Jew. Is that the word I'm looking for? He's just going to sell us out, under the guise of like lower gas prices. Um, and it hurts. It hurts to see, people that I care about just to fall for this shit. And I don't know. I mean, I'm still not totally convinced that Trump is going to be a total sellout. I see signs here and there that there's still some wild cards in the deck, if I'll put it that way. Um, I once again we've had this discussion on my Telegram. I know most people are very disillusioned, very black pilled. I get it. I get it. What do we got here? Oh, Trump was jamming with the Village People. That makes me want to fucking throw up. Oaf says, I saw that he needs Donald's progressive rock band. Dude, that was so fucking good. That would be so fucking good. You have no idea how good that would be. Oh my god, dude. We would kill it. How cool would that be? Oh, son of a gun. You know, there was a White Art Collective music festival a couple of years ago that I performed at. Um, it was I had to drive across country with my bandmate to attend that, and it was historic. It was epic. It was really cool. It was like one of the best experiences of my life, to be a part of that. And there were like, a lot of, I would say a lot, but there were some sort of dissident rights celebrities there, that were just there to see the show, and so I got to meet, like Josh Neal, personally, and this and that, and some other folks, people in the White Art Collective that are friends, and we've been, doing shows and stuff on the internet for so long, and we finally get to meet each other in person. It was wonderful. Um, it's funny when you just hear someone's voice for so long, and you never see their face, and then you finally like meet them face to face. It's wild, It's a really cool experience. Pretty intense. I can remember, like, I was one of the last people to show up the day before the event. Everybody was like setting up and doing sound checks and stuff like that. And then finally we pulled in, and I get out of the car and I'm kind of heading over to the stage with my guitar or whatever. And like all these people start running over, not running, but like kind of rushing over to see me. And because like oh, that's somebody. Who is that guy? Well, it's got to be Donald Kent. He's the only one that hasn't showed up yet, and we know he's on the way. So I finally get there, and then all these different people in the White Art Collective come up, and they're like, just, "Oh my god, it's so great to see you," and like suddenly I hear the voice that I've heard so long on our shows, because Jeff had many shows. He had like almost 4 or 5 shows a week. Yeah, a week. So I'm interacting with these people every day, and then finally I get to match the voice with the face, and oh my god, it was so funny. This is really cool. Uh, I I saw Josh Neal like across the way, whatever. I was just hanging out somewhere. So I'm approaching him and walking up to him. He gets this look on his face like, "Who the fuck are you?" Like who's this guy that's like coming and stepping at me? And then I just said Donald Kent, and like he just got this enormous smile on his face and threw his arms open and gave each other a huge hug, and it was just a really fun, epic moment. Felt so good. That was such a special thing to be a part of. Oh my god. That is it's wow. Gosh. This music's getting goofy. Let me see if I can change this. And I'll probably go back to here and here. I might just do a little bit more. Let's see. Okay, let me read the comments. Wing It says the Cramps are serious white music, big time. Punk rock is very white, and the Cramps are like a offshoot genre of punk rock that's like semi rockabilly punk. It's just got its own Midwestern Elvis Texas flavor or something like that. Anyway, Hippocratic Oath says, "Did you see Snoop Dogg there? The guy that said only Uncle Tom's would perform for Trump." Everything is fake and gay. I mean, the whole like he had like a video where he like shot Trump in the head in his video. Do you remember that? What the fuck is going on? This just everything is so shit. It's just such shit. I'm so sick of it all. I really am. Um Anyway, Wing It says we need to pull a Kanye and ask him, Trump, why he hates white people. Yeah. Oaf says Ye loves Trump, but no invite. Ha 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 ha. Why didn't Kanye do the concert, huh? Yeah. He'd be like, "It's the Jews, yo! It's the Jews, the Jews, yo! It's the Jews." Maybe I better call Kanye. We could like do a collaboration. Moving on. But gets it as well. So there you go, and now you know. I went dancing again last night. Another Saturday night. Another successful night. Good times. Um, hmm. I almost didn't go, but there was a side to me that's like, you know what? You're heading into like, like the part of the winter where shit gets really bad, and you might not be able to go in other weeks in the future or whatever. Like, go, just go. Like, get it while the getting's good. You know what I'm saying? So, it is a bit of a fantasy. I know that. I know that it's a fantasy. It's just fun. It's all the, Risen the girls and all these cute 20 something chickens and everything. It's not gonna, it's not like a serious thing. It's just for fun. And oh, what fun it is. Actually, there's one young lady that I'm becoming very good friends with. And I actually asked her out last night, and she's in a like a detox mode where she doesn't want to do partying for a while. Some people, you know, push it a little too hard and then need to back off, which is fine, So we're gonna do like a coffee or something at some point. Setting up a little date, I guess. Not a date though. I don't know how I feel about her. Like, number one, she's too young, so don't feel anything about her. Let it just don't go there, kind of. I don't know. I shouldn't talk too much about it. It's a little spicy. Um, so anyway, this is kind of fun. This is coming together nicely. This page. Um, what is going on in the chat? Nothing. Okay. No. I gotta break down. I gotta take a shower and get ready for work tomorrow. All right, you guys. Thanks so much for popping in, hanging out. Um, maybe maybe the UFOs will come to the inauguration. Honestly, I'm hearing things like the deep state's gonna do something. They're gonna do something big. Um, I hope they don't. I mean, you always hear shit. There's always like fear porn out there, but like, the inauguration is a big event. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully it's safe and everybody's safe. And speaking of safe, you guys have a safe evening. Ah, Great Ape shows up just as I'm closing the show. Well, you can catch the replay, big guy. Daddy's got to work tomorrow. So keep on rocking in the free world, and God bless you. And we'll see you on the flip side. Bye bye.